Good morning. It's Monday, January 19th. I'm Miriam Bosilevets. The NWT government says technicians are en route to Wrigley this week to assess the extent of the failure of the community's water treatment plant. A boil advisory has been issued after what the GNWT called a critical failure in the treatment water process. Responding to questions from Cabin Radio, the NWT's Department of Health and Social Services said an equipment failure is understood to have occurred on New Year's Day, and Environmental Health notified on January 13th. Yellowknife City councillors are expected to examine whether to award the Ness developers a tax reduction worth $800,000. The former office building lay empty for years before Borealis development turned it into a 72-unit housing block, with the first tenants moving in last month. Borealis is asking the city to extend a tax reduction for another 5 years after an initial 5-year reduction was previously approved in 2022. For more information, visit CabinRadio.ca. U.S. President Donald Trump says he no longer feels bound to think purely of peace because he didn't receive the Nobel Peace Prize from Norway. He linked his displeasure to his threats of seizing control of Greenland from Denmark. The EU is convening an emergency summit after Trump imposed a new 10% tariff on several countries opposing his demand to acquire Greenland. When asked, Prime Minister Mark Carney said he's weighing whether to send additional soldiers to Greenland for military exercises. The PM is heading to Switzerland to take part in the World Economic Forum after announcing a new strategic partnership with Qatar. After last week's theft of guitars from Yellowknife Seniors facility Avens, the community responded by donating multiple guitars. The stolen instruments were part of a seniors' voluntary guitar program and belonged to some of the residents. In a newsletter, Avens said the donations have restored the musical program and they're now exploring the possibility of expanding it. The Avens dining room where the theft occurred is undergoing security changes. The lineup for Yellowknife's Still Dark Festival is now out, with concerts taking place across the city from February 5th to 7th. The evening shows will take place at 5 different venues, with opening night at the Underground. Primetime, Brendan McIntosh, and Upper Mallrats will be among Yellowknife-based acts at the festival. And the top baby names for the first half of the decade in the NWT are in, with Charlotte and Jack the clear winners. The sample size is small, however, and the data by the GNWT doesn't include possible variations of spelling. The naming trends seem to generally reflect the rest of the country. Your weather forecast for today: Yellowknife -20 with periods of snow. Inuvik high of -5 with a chance of flurries. Norman Wells -4 with periods of snow. Hay River -19 today with periods of snow. Fort Smith -20 with periods of snow, and Fort Simpson -10 today with periods of light snow.